All right, so I will be dyeing a Louis Vuitton Vernis Sarah wallet today. This piece I picked up from eBay from Linda's Stuff. I'm using Angelus leather cleaner to kind of clean out, any kind of dirt, grime. So I have Angelus leather cleaner in a spray bottle. I sprayed it. Now I'm wiping this off with a cotton towel. So just trying to get it as clean as possible, just kind of get the residue. Once it's dyed, I will clean it again and I'll polish all the brass and hardware, but right now I just want to clean it up, just slightly and get what I can off with the leather cleaner. Now, I like the leather cleaner in the bottle because it's really convenient. I could just spray and then wipe and then go. The next step will be me prepping with acetone. Now, I mentioned in the comments that you have to be very careful with acetone because it does break down plastic and other plastic-like materials. And you do not want to use acetone at all on any kind of coated Louis Vuitton canvas like the classic brown monogram. You do not want to use that at all because it will take the logo off. And on some Vernis pieces, it will actually start to dissolve the plastic depending on how degraded the coating is. So you can kind of tell that when you're prepping to dye. What will happen is when you're using the cotton ball with the acetone, pieces of the coating will start to come off on the cotton ball, and then you can kind of see like how degraded it is. When I encounter that, I typically will try to use acetone as sparingly as possible, and I will use alcohol to kind of buff the dye out versus using acetone. This piece was pretty good, so I didn't have any kind of vernis peeling off. Now I'm adding the dye. I'm using a microfiber cloth. I dipped it in a pink solution. I made this solution by diluting Fiebings Oxblood leather dye. I did put the link for that in the comments as well. I use the microfiber because I feel like it gives you a lot better control, and depending on how the piece is, the dye may take exceptionally well, like too well to where you cannot make any mistakes. It's not forgiving at all. As soon as you put the dye down, it's going to soak it up and you will not have time to fix it. This was one of those pieces where as soon as I started dyeing, I was like, okay, this is going to take the dye very well. I have to work quickly and smoothly. So if you notice, I try to do like swipes from the left to the right. I try to do whole swipes versus doing like little patches because I want the dye to be even. So I take my microfiber cloth, I dip it into the oxblood, and then I just kind of get like any excess and leave that on the cotton ball. Then I start to dye the piece. I just really don't want it to be like super saturated when I start to dye. Also, I am wearing latex gloves. I understand some people may be allergic to latex, but the reason I'm wearing latex is because, like I said, the acetone will break down any kind of plastic. Well, technically it doesn't break it down. It kind of just like loosens the molecules, but what will happen with the gloves is they will start to tear. But since latex is a natural fiber, the acetone will not do that to latex. If you are allergic to latex, there's rubber, but just be mindful that depending on the glove type, the acetone may break it down. So I'm moving along. And for some reason, I noticed that pink, reds, purple, they always dye very quickly. Like had this been me trying to get this wallet to black, I would have been working on this for days. But pink is such an easy color to work with. Purple is an easy color. And as you can see, this wallet is taking this dye very well. So it's really speeding along the process. I have sped this video up, but still I would say all in all, it took me about 20 minutes to dye this pink. So I'm just going along, and right now I'm just trying to match this section to the section that I previously did. So I'm just going to have to put dye on and layer it until I can get it to match the front. But I really like how this is turning out. I really like this pink color. And I honestly just did this by just diluting the oxblood with alcohol. And I normally use like a little swatch piece of white leather fabric, not fabric, leather strip. And I will use the dye and test it out to see if I like the color, if I don't like the color, and then I'll start to dye. But this is the color that I made, and I am really liking. It's kind of like a Barbie pink. It's really pretty in the sunlight. Definitely like a really pretty summer pink color. Still dyeing, still trying to get that to match the top part. But like I said, this really took the dye very well. And it's really, Vernis is so tough because I just got a piece, Lexington, which is like a small clutch, small bag. I honestly thought that it was a fake because the dye did not take it all. But just the Vernis from different lines and different years, they just take the dye so much differently. You're going to actually see that on the pocket. So when we get to the pockets on the inside, I don't know if it's because they don't get as much wear and tear as the outsides, is that the patent leather coating is like really intact. But when I start to dye the pockets, I noticed that the dye will not penetrate. It will actually like kind of bubble up on the top, like it's not soaking into the leather. So normally when I do this, the pockets will be a little lighter than the rest of the wallet because it just does not take the dye. Now, some people, they don't dye the inside pockets, but I like to dye the inside pockets because I feel like even though it might be a lighter color, it gives it like a nice ombre effect to the wallet, which I think is pretty, but maybe other people don't. I don't know. So still just dyeing, but like I said, this is going very smoothly. It's going very quickly. Also, I do want to mention that I do have a piece of glass down. So what has happened when I have dyed a couple of wallets, first off, finding a pre-owned cream colored, white colored Vernis piece that does not have significant dye transfer is very difficult. So finding a piece that I can actually dye pink is very hard. So it's very frustrating when I get a piece and I start dyeing it pink, and then somehow some dye that I was working on from before will get on the piece, and then I can't even keep it pink. I'll have to like dye it the color that I have accidentally put onto this wallet. That happened with a piece that I did before a couple weeks ago, and I accidentally got blue on it somehow. So instead of dyeing it pink, I ended up having to do like a purple violet ombre. But I was so frustrated. I was like, I cannot believe I did this. I don't know if I just touched the dye bottle or not. But like I said, some colors, they will dye immediate. Purple is one of those colors. Red is very not difficult, but very penetrating. Blue is very penetrating. Some colors are a little bit more lenient than others, but the purple, I know if I get purple on something, it's just going to be a purple wallet because it is very difficult to get the purple dye out. So like I said, now I'm going into the front of the wallet, just trying to match the rest of it. As I work on this, you can kind of see me work on the pockets, and when I hit the pockets, it will like not change at all. It'll just be like the same color. See how like I put the pink on there, and it like just like a light little touch of pink, which I mean it'll end up being like a nice pastel pretty pink, but it won't match the rest of the wallet, and you can't really see the actual detail, but the dye is literally like bubbling on top of that because it just is not penetrating past that top layer. Now the way that Vernis works is that there is a layer of leather under the coating, and so depending on how degraded or how thick that outside coating is going to determine how well that dye is penetrating into the actual leather, which is what is actually changing, which is the actual color that's changing. I have stripped the Vernis, but I would only ever do that is if I'm starting to dye something and I notice that it is coming off with just like a simple cotton ball. If it is that degraded, then there's really no point in dyeing it because it's going to be peeling off very quickly. As you see, I did get a little dye on this table. However, what I have done is I bought a piece of glass and I put that down for my dyeing process because I was using like paper. It was getting on different things. And so I have found that just having that piece of glass, which I found actually in a leather dyeing forum, somebody was like, well, I just have like a small piece of glass. And I just put that down. I was like, you know what? That's a great idea. I don't have to get a whole piece of glass to cover this whole workspace. I could just have like my little dyeing corner. And so that's what I did. I got a little piece of glass off of Amazon. I was able to measure it to the exact size I needed it to be. And I'm using that to dye. And the best thing about this is that after I'm done, I literally just have to spray it with Windex or some type of cleaner, and I just wipe the glass off, and then I can move on to my next piece. I don't have to worry about dye getting everywhere. I don't have to worry about like throwing away plastic or, you know, paper towels. Some people put like paper bags down. Instead of doing all that waste, I just have to like wipe the surface clean, and then I can go on to my next project. And I like it because it works with paint, it works with dye, any kind of solution is just going to wipe off. Now, between the coats, I will go through with acetone and just kind of like get any excess dye off. And I'm just like looking at it, making sure that the dye is pretty much a consistent color all around. And I will do this until the cotton ball is pretty clean. And then the next step would be conditioning. So I'll put the conditioner on, and sometimes the cotton ball may still have like some pink on it or some color on it. But so what I'll do is I'll put the conditioner on, and then I'll take a cloth. And if the cloth is clean after I condition it, I feel like I'm good to go, because I know that if I'm putting conditioner on it, if I'm putting cleaner on it, and I'm using a white rag to like buff the dye out with the conditioner and it's not showing up on the rag, I'm pretty confident that there will be no dye transfer. Now I'm still dyeing this little. The reason I put the towel down was because the wallet was kind of wet from the dyeing, and it was kind of sliding around. So I put the cotton towel down just to make sure that it was not sliding around. I had a little bit more control. But I always like to use like a white rag or something that I know that doesn't have dye in it, because like I said, the worst part about dyeing something, like especially when it's like a light color like this pink, is getting another dye color on it darker, and there's no way to fix it. You can't really make anything lighter once you have dyed it like a dark color. There's no way to make dye lighter. You can only just make it darker. So you have to be very, very careful of your surroundings. Do you have dye in your hand? Do you have dye on the table? Do you have dye on the rag? So I always like just tried to keep like a clean cloth near me. As you can see, I always also did tape up the inside, because what will happen is as I'm trying to flip it back and forth, I might get dye on it from my glove. So I like to normally just tape that up before I start dyeing, just to prevent that. And after I finish dyeing, I normally will go through with a matched color paint from Angelus. I'll mix colors till I get the color that's on the inside, and I'll just touch up the spaces so it'll cover up any kind of marks, any kind of dye residue, just so it's like nice and clean and pristine on the inside. And I just try to do the best that I can. I'll also clean up that brass. I'll clean up the button. I'll clean up the zipper. I'll clean up the snap button. And, really it ends up looking like a brand new item, because it's been cleaned, it's been dyed, it's got a new color, the brass has been polished, and really it just ends up being like a nice new piece. But thank you so much, and just, continue watching me as I dye this wallet.
Jesus. So you're saying you haven't seen Elias in 2 days? That's right. And when he last walked out the door, he didn't say where he was going. Yeah. He didn't ask him. He's 50. I mean, Lads Valley is there. Out the door slam. Look, what's going on? We're really starting to worry.
I just found these in Elias's bedroom. That's me picking up my son from school last Friday. Can you think why your son is following me? Taking pictures. What? Putting me on his wall. No. Have you ever seen this boy before? No. His name's Syed Tahir. He's in the same care home as Elias. They were close. No. We've never seen him. The nurses never mentioned him. Syed was our main suspect in a murder. Before he killed himself. That's Elias, with Syed, holding the gun Syed later used to take his own life. There's the victim we believe Syed may or may not have murdered with the same gun. Andrew, your ex-job, right?
Sergeant, 20 years, armed police.
You're the adoptive parent of a psychologically troubled kid with a history of misdemeanors. Didn't it cross your mind to notify the police that he'd gone missing and you didn't know where he was?
Listen. If we're knocking on his door every day and checking his search history and asking where he's going, we're just another institution to him. I don't know why he's got you on his wall, and I don't know what this is, but don't make your mind up on him too fast, eh? He's a good kid. He'll have nothing to do with your dead body. And we'll do everything we can to help find him. Welcome home, Iris.
Cheer me up. Vintage. No, get it.
You have garlic, carrot battens, and 1 jar of hummus. Temperature loss and energy waste increasing with the duration of your decision. Your neighbour, Dolly, Luna, is at your door.
Sorry, Fred, 2 minutes silence. Can you please ask Lorna? Listen, it's been really intense today. Oops. Oh, come on. You can tell me all about your bad day. My own next door super slip. Oh, Bella, no. No, what? No, stop it. Oh. You got blood on your sweetheart. We hurt. Don't take nothing in there. The gin is going to make So, whose blood was it?
I don't want to bore you with it.
Impossible. Well, it's also classified. Dangerous. So when was it a murder? Jesus, Paul. Classify. Just, Paul, come on. Okay? What a dead body. Actually, I think it's 6 life. Wow. I'll drink to that. We can drink this whole bottle to that. Cheers.
My dad brought me to work for the day. We were on the tube. We just heard this boom, like the whole world shook. Then darkness and screams.
The night that my eyes. I couldn't see for 3 days. When my sight came back, everything had changed.
What I remember most though was how the country came together. We were one again, united.
Joined by many courageous survivors, members of the executive gathered in front of the London Memorial, remembering the tragic day 30 years ago, but also celebrating the new beginning and order that we have now.
After the attack, when we rebuilt our city, we all shared a dream. A community where no one was left behind.
It's okay.
Citizens of the new Britain. We've come so far.
Did you lose someone?
It's no dream. It's our world.
My dad died in the blast.
We built it.